Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Minickbach and this is my STEM perspective presentation. So I graduated from my undergrad program in December of 2019 from Moravian College, and I began teaching 3rd grade in February of 2020 in the Allentown School District in Pennsylvania, and soon after started my master's degree at Millersville. And I chose a STEM concentration because I think an interdisciplinary approach to education is very important, and STEM aligns with that very well, and so I want to learn how to better integrate STEM into my classroom. And a little bit about me outside of school. I love to travel, so I have a picture of me in Spain. I have a border collie puppy named Jasper, who I love spending time with, and some of my favorite things are penguins and coffee. So how do students learn science? Donovan and Bransford discuss 3 different principles in their Chapter 1 and Chapter 9 text, being students have preconceptions, that students are coming into our classroom with experience and ideas that shape their way of thinking and how they approach science. So we need to address their preconceptions and allow them to share their background knowledge in the classroom to make sure that they're applying this knowledge correctly and they have a solid scientific understanding. Students also need to have a knowledge of what it means to do science. So this is focusing on the process and not just the outcome. Students need to learn with understanding and how it affects what they're going to apply and what is learned. So students also need to practice and develop metacognition. Students develop the ability to take control of their own thinking and reflect on their thinking. And so this is helping students identify strategies in how they learn best. And some barriers to science can be prior experience and preconceptions. Some students, if they have a limited background knowledge and experience with science, that can impact what they know and how they approach science when they walk into the classroom, in addition to limited representation in the classroom. I know for me, I have a lot of students who are English language learners, and they don't necessarily have a solid scientific background when they walk into my classroom. So making them feel represented and allowing them to share what they do know and make connections to what they know is really important, in addition to using the learner-centered lens of education. So how does your classroom adhere to the tenets of science learning described in the module readings? So I included some snippets from Donovan and Bransford from Chapter 11, and then also discussed how these align into my classroom. So I use a lot of questioning strategies with my students, and I use a lot of open-ended questioning strategies to allow them to share their thinking and be very reflective upon that. I establish respect in my classroom and help my students feel comfortable sharing ideas. I also want to make sure science connects to the real world, so when we look at our essential question and the concepts we're learning, looking at how this relates to just beyond our classroom, and providing students with time to explore it in a hands-on way. I think that's a lot of the engagement with science and the inquiry approach, and also modifying it that all of my students can be successful, because like I mentioned, I have a lot of English language learners in my classroom. And lastly, my STEM perspective. I best align my perspective with the integrated disciplines model. And I chose that model because as STEM, and I discussed the interdisciplinary model and approaches at the beginning of this presentation, I like to have my students apply their knowledge and connect it all together. And that's why I chose that diagram from Purdue, because it's showing that in order to have STEM, you need all 4 components, and that helps students see the concepts intertwined and in a real-world perspective. And lastly, I have my Easter egg. I have one of my favorite books to share with my students, which is I'm Gonna Push Through by Jasmine Wright, and it is a great growth mindset book to share with your students if you're interested. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone else's presentations and getting to work with everyone in this course. Thanks for watching.